Hello and welcome to another video in Embolden's video tutorial project. In this video we're going to talk about how to copy a page in DNN, which is actually a trickier subject than you would think. We highly advise any new DNN user, especially Embolden clients, if you want to copy pages, which we know many of you do just because we get asked about it a lot, it's important to understand exactly how this works. And so even though this video is going to be a little long and a little wonky and technical, we highly recommend that you watch the thing all the way through and really try to understand what the different options are, because if you don't understand what they do and you just jump in and say, oh, I'm gonna copy this, you can end up giving yourself a lot of headaches down the road. So if you want to copy a page, which again we know a lot of you do, generally the reason why we get asked about copying pages a lot is because this is how people work with Microsoft Word or whatever other tools that they use on their desktop computer. So usually if you're, say you're a communications person and you have to write a press release, most people don't just open Word and start typing from scratch, typing a new press release. They take the last press release they had and they make a copy of it, and then they open that up and then they just go in and edit everything. And the reason why most people do that is they want to preserve the formatting of the last one. In DNN and in Embolden's websites, this is not as important as you would think, because you don't need to worry about preserving the formatting of the header one and knowing exactly what this looks like exactly what shade of brownish this is and how to make this underline. All you need to know is if I make this header one, it's automatically going to look like that. If I make this the large text class, it's automatically going to look like that. So copying isn't as important as you would think, but it's definitely something that people are used to doing, so it's something we get asked about quite a bit. In all honesty, to do what you want to do, the best way to copy it is not to use this copy page functionality up here. It's to create the new page, add the new module, and there's videos all about creating pages and adding modules, and then to go back to the original page that you want to copy from and just go into the editor and go in here and manually just select all, Control A, copy, Control C. I now have it on my clipboard. I can now go to my new page and paste it in the editor. That is actually the easiest way to do what you want to do. That being said, I'm going to show you how the built-in copy functionality works. But before I do, we need to go over what's on this page already. So this is the page we're going to copy. As you know, this is a copy of the Kalamazoo Community Foundation website that Embolden uses to demo our product. And I just picked the first page under how to give. It was called Get Started. I didn't want the overview page because that's a little more complex. So the Get Started page here, if we look, we can see it's got several panes. If you remember from the early videos where we talked about the parts of the page, you have the content pane here. That's the main section of the site, of the page. And then you have the left pane over here, which is this little sidebar. And you have a content manager module in here. The title is Talk With Us. It's using a specialized container. We'll talk about containers in another video, but that's why it looks different. Over here in the content pane, you have a content manager module with the title Get Started Introduction. And then if we scroll down, we see an accordion module, which is what this is here. And it's got the title Get Started, Steps to Getting Started. And then you have some empty panes down here, mobile pane, content left, content right. So if we want to copy this, we would go to this page, and then up in our control panel, up here under page functions, we would just click copy. And this is going to create a new page. So it's going to open up the page settings screen. All of this stuff, if you want to know what this is, you can look at our video on adding new pages to the site. Down here under copy page, it chooses what page we want to copy. And this is already filled out for us. And then underneath that, based on what page we're copying from, it tells us, hey, these are the modules on the page. So these are the 3 modules you can copy. And the check boxes say, essentially, do you want to copy this or not? So that's pretty easy. If I wanted to, say, have the big content manager module in the content pane and the sidebar, but not the accordions that were at the bottom of the content pane, I could just uncheck that. It's not going to copy. Over here, it lists the actual titles. So we need to know what the titles are so we can know what these are. If they all just said put title here or content manager or content or get started or whatever, and they weren't differentiated, we wouldn't know which one is which. But we can change these titles if we want. It will not change them on the page we're copying from. It will change them on the new page. So we could call this something else here. Over here, it tells us what pane these modules are going to go in. So it's whatever one they were in now. So, these two that were in the content pane, they're still going to be in the content pane on the new page. The sidebar one, that's still going to be in the left pane on the new page. So all of this stuff is fairly simple. What is absolutely crucial to understand is these three radio buttons right here, these three options. These are the copy methods. So programmatically, we can copy one of three different ways. We can either create a brand new module, which is what's selected by default, and it's brand new, it's empty, it has nothing in it. So nothing is set up. We would essentially create a new page that would say, oh, we want a content manager module with an accordion module underneath it, but you're not bringing over any of your content. So you can't go in and say, oh, I have my header, I have my large text paragraph, I have all of this stuff, I can just edit them. It's just going to give you empty modules in the right places. So this is not usually the behavior that anyone's looking for. The second method is called copy. So if you select that, it's going to copy it using the copy method. And I know it gets confusing. So the copy method essentially says we're going to create a brand new module on this new page, and we're going to copy over all of your content from the original page. We're going to copy all the stuff from getting started, bring it over to this brand new page, dump it in there, but then you can edit it to your heart's content. It won't affect anything else. This is generally the behavior that people are looking for. This mimics the behavior that most of us have using Word or Excel or other documents, where we just kind of want to take an existing one, make a copy of it, and use that as the basis for our new document without affecting the original one at all. The big problem with copy, as you can see, or maybe you can't really tell, but this is grayed out here. So the Content Manager module, which if you are an Embolden client and you're on DNN 4, which most of you still are, the Content Manager module is controlling more than 90% of the content on your website. This is your general text and pictures and HTML and all of that. So most of your pages are all Content Manager modules. And that module, for whatever reason, does not support the copy functionality, the copy method. So you can't click this. You can't copy it the way you want to, which makes the whole copy functionality kind of useless for many of you. The third method is called reference. So you can copy by reference, and every module understands this automatically and understands this automatically. So you can copy by reference, but that means what a reference is essentially there's one entry in the database for the content for that module, and multiple pages on the site refer back to it. That's the easiest way we can kind of explain it. It's a programming term, and it's super technical, but essentially what it means is that you would create your brand new page. You would go in and say, hey, my new page is set up. It has all the content from our Getting Started page. I can go in and edit it, and everything looks great. And then when you go back to Getting Started, guess what? All of the changes you just made to the new page also happened on Getting Started. And then if you're like most people, you'll panic. You'll say, why is my Getting Started page all messed up? Let me go into Getting Started and edit all of this stuff to get it back to the way it was. And then you're like, okay, I don't know what happened, but that's fine. And then you go back to the page you just created, and guess what? Now it looks just like Getting Started again. This is because those modules are essentially mirroring each other. Any changes made on one will automatically show up on the other. This can be very useful. You may want to have multiple pages on the site that have the exact same content, and you don't want to have to go in and edit it on every single page whenever you want to update it. That takes more time. It's prone to human error. It's just not a good way to do things. So if you wanted to have, say, one announcement that appeared all across your site, you might have a little sidebar module that has an announcement in there, and maybe you update it every couple of weeks. When you go in to update it, you don't want to have to update every single page on your site individually by hand. You want to just go in and edit it once and have it automatically appear across the site. So that's what reference is for. It can be useful, but it is absolutely essential you understand what reference does, you understand what copy does, you understand what new does, you understand the difference between all three and when you would want to use them. And if you are like most users, copy is what you want, and copy unfortunately is the one that is not supported in DNN for the Content Manager module. Now, this video is a bit of a bummer, but there is good news. The good news is that on newer versions of DNN, the copy method of copying, this middle one, is supported by the Content Manager module. So it's not grayed out. So you can actually make copies in the newer version of DNN without running into these sorts of headaches that you would have if you accidentally copied things by reference, because that seemed to be the only option available to you. So for now, if you're on DNN 4, we would not recommend using the built-in copy functionality here unless you knew you wanted to copy as a reference and mirror a page in two different sections of the site. Otherwise, we would recommend the couple extra steps of actually going into the editor, selecting all, copying to your clipboard, and just kind of manually cutting and pasting to copy a module. But if you really want this functionality, and there's some other improved functionality as well, then you definitely want to talk to your project manager about upgrading you to DNN 6.